Let's go. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Let's wake up and get ready for today's challenge. First of all, thank you for joining me in this exciting new series, Medical Minutes, where every Saturday at 9 a.m. EST, we will explore fascinating and sometimes controversial topics in medical infrared images. This is the end of this meeting. My name is Marcos Brioschi. I'm the chairman of the American Academy of Thermology. And today I'm going to share you secret. Many of you have seen my presentations at the AAT conference, and some of you may have all on the red. How does he create such amazing images? So I'm teaching some tricks for you. Well, today I'm going to reveal my secret. So make sure to stay until the end of this presentation and don't forget to like this video at YouTube. Here's the first secret. I don't do thermography. The images you've seen me present are infrared images. But wait, aren't they the same thing? Let's see. Recently, the American Academy of Thermology updated its logo with a new subtitle, Medical Infrared Imaging. But why? Today's challenge is to discuss thermology, thermography, or infrared image. What's the difference? And most importantly, which is the most accurate term? Let's dive into this topic and explore why choosing the right name matters. The term medical thermography has been used for decades to describe capturing thermal images of the body, focusing on surface temperature. But with technological advancements, infrared imaging systems can now detect much more. We must think on blood flow, inflammation, metabolic activity, and sympathetic vasomotor activity. This goes far beyond just measuring temperature. So is thermography still the right term for what we do today? Thermography is a technique that captures infrared radiation, okay, to create thermal images visually representing temperature variations on the surface of objects or the human body. Infrared imaging, on the other hand, uses uh, uses specialized cameras to detect and visualize infrared radiation heat, converting it into images that show temperature difference. While thermography focuses especially on measuring and recording surface temperatures variation, infrared imaging is a broader concept. It involves capturing heat emitted by objects and people, whether or not it's used for temperature measurements. In 1956, the term medical thermography emerged. It was the first time. Dr. Ray Lawson from McGill University in Montreal, Canada, a former member of the Royal Canadian Air Force in the Second World War, adapted this military infrared technology developed during the Cold War for medical use. He was the first one to make thermal observation of human metabolism. Lawson discovered that breast tumors generate heat, with malignant nodules being 1.75 to 3.5 degrees hotter than surround tissue. This breakthrough suggested that breast cancer could be detected by measuring it, offering a non-invasive alternative to the often inaccurate surgical biopsy. So imagine 1956, it's amazing discovery at that time. His work transformed this military tool into a revolutionary medical imaging technology, which had the potential to change the way breast cancer was detected in human. In the 90s, at the age of medical thermography, Dr. Sumio Uematsu, a neurosurgeon at Johns Hopkins, pioneered the concept of pain thermal mapping based on dermatomes. He introduced the idea of using thermography to measure temperature as a key tool for identify abnormal areas, according to his reference table of normal temperature ranges. Diagnoses became centered around comparing temperature difference between opposite sides of the body. This approach is the core of medical thermography, recording temperature values and calculating difference between regions of interest, ROIs, Dr. Marcos is recognized as a true pioneer in medical thermography. Since Lawson's discovery, it's been 8 years of advancements in this field. But wait, something else was happening, and we can't overlook it. Let me explain. It will be a surprise for many of you. Here, the year is 1933 in France, 23 years before Lawson's work and before the Second World War. Dr. Jean Sedman, a Romanian-born French physician, presented his doctoral thesis on the medical treatments using ultraviolet, infrared radiation, X-rays, and radio waves. As a proponent of actinotherapy, treatment with radiation, especially ultraviolet rays, Sedman was the first doctor to use infrared for diagnosis, and it was not Lawson. We have evidence of this in publications from the reports of the Paris Academy of Science from that time. He's one the founder of French Society of Photobiology. Photobiology, not thermology. Let's see. Here, let me read a small excerpt from Jean Sedman's 1933 publication titled Radiation on the Technique of Measuring the Thermal Radiation of the Skin. It's in French, and translation is apparatus for measuring the skin radiation on an electric thermometer, Mr. Sedman. A practical device allowing measurements at patient's bedside and determining the radiation balance of each region or calculating the radiation metabolism of a subject. Skin radiation consists of an infrared spectrum ranging from 3 to 50 micrometers with maximum energy around 9 micrometers. The device includes an electrometer that provides the skin temperature in 10 seconds. Did you hear that? Bedside infrared. He's saying what we say today, point of care infrared, in 1933. Thermography was first introduced by Sedman in 1933, but only became a diagnostic tool in the mid-50s. In 1956, Lawson was the first to use thermography to help diagnose breast cancer. Okay, so it's not just 8 years of thermography. It's actually over 90 years of medical infrared imaging. Here's another paper part of his publication. He was the first doctor to publish about sport thermography studies in 1933. He says, Mr. Guy Laroche, Jean said, Moscovich reported results of the research on the effect of work on the body radiation. Contrary to classical data, direct measurements they made with sediments receiver show the radiation does not vary much under influence of work, basic work, at least under various forms of intense and short duration physical exercise applied to their subjects. And they calculate here the radiation that not vary more than 3 to 5%. So it's something very interesting. Let's clarify the conceptual difference between thermography and infrared image. The out-in and the in-out concept. The out-in concept, thermography, thermal data is collected from the outside, the heat emitted from the body, and processed into a thermal map that you view inside on a screen or computer. In contrast, the in-out concept, infrared imaging, allows us to direct visualize the heat distribution on the surface, giving us an immediate view without additional processing. Once you understand these concepts, you never confuse the two again. Let's see. Here's a current example of out-in concept in thermography. In a study I published on migraine headaches, we collected images and then analyzed the temperature distribution data later on a computer using statistical software. Although the images were taken at the bedside point of care, the evaluation was done afterwards, not in real time. Here's the publication. Many out-in thermography studies are conducted this way today. Thermal images are collected, the data is analyzed in tables, and using quantitative criteria, a result and a diagnostic conclusion are generated. Numerous breast studies have been conducted following this exact process. In a classical out-in thermography, the most common method is measuring temperature difference between opposite sides. You select a region of interest Roy, and subtract the average temperature difference. This is called calculating the delta T, to record the variation between two values. But please, this is very basic. It's just a subtraction. There's no statistical analysis involved here. We can expand this in many ways. In thermography, we often use the temperature color scale on the right side of thermal image. It's obligatory to show the image with the color scale ever. If you don't see this, it's not thermography, it's not no sense, it's not scientific. Okay, here each color represents a temperature. Red for hotter areas, blue for colder ones, and green for intermediate regions. This is the RGB, red, green, blue system, makes it easier to identify regions with higher metabolic activity. However, there's a serious issue. The interpretation is semi-quantitative and based on a to-do image that you're seeing, to-do image. This flattens the temperature data, hide the important details. You must take care of this. No mind the resolution of the camera. It's flattened. The body is a three-dimensional, and all the radiation is condensed into a tiny sensor, which can distort the readings a little. So this is the big difference in no contact infrared measurement and contact measurement of temperature. So the sensor can distort the reading, especially as we move farther away from body, like in this upper body scan. But okay, we know, we must understand, we must conceptualize this depending on the case. In recent years, I developed with my team my one 3D thermography system for mapping heat distribution, like this image. This system allows me to see details that aren't visible in 2D images. Are the same image, the same patient, but it's totally different. The depth effect gives me a much richer and more reliable view for thermographic evaluation. Here's an example of an active herniated disc and lumbar discopathy. So I can see the details on this way. It's just the technology, it's just the softwares. Here's another example of 3D thermography for heat distribution mapping. Okay, not see how clear this case of ankylosing spondylitis is. Even thought there the MRI wasn't conclusive. The 3D view with interferometry is truly remarkable. Interferometry is a specific method to transform the image on this. Okay. With infrared imaging in-out, I can get much more information in real time. Infrared image in-out. Let's compare. How? By immersing myself in the live recording or image. Moving the sensor close to the patients allows me to extract for far more clinical details and make faster, more accurate diagnosis. It's like having a superhero vision. I have my two eyes, my pineal gland for light and dark, and my fourth eye, infrared vision. This gives me a broader perspective. I can perform infrared guided procedures and become like a cyborg, examining the patient better than a normal human. I start with a remote inspection, close, near, left, right side. So I start with a remote inspection while the patient describes their pain or point where's the pain, and I will see this. Then I use infrared guided palpation, pinpointing the exact pain areas and performing the necessary clinical tests. Infrared image gives us a real-time infrared vision. The most amazing thing about infrared image is that it's not just for the doctor, it's also for the patient. Medical thermography doesn't make sense for the patient. Oh, patient just do the medical thermography. Oh. But infrared image does make sense this. The patient becomes an active participant in the diagnosis and the treatment, watching in real time as something like an acupuncture needle affects their skin, for example, or laser or other things. Together, the doctor and the patient immerse themselves in the health issue, seeing what happens in the moment. You can even record an image for later analysis, just like thermography. But remember, Thermography is the past. It's just a record. Infrared imaging is the present, the action of seeing what's happened right now. It's subtle, the difference is little, but it's important to know this. Uh, let's see, here's a real-time view of a patient with a left shoulder pain. It's instant. The myofascial trigger point is right there, confirming the initial diagnosis. The patient point there, and I can see there, it's in real time. Both the doctor and patient can follow along in a real time. The doctor can quickly palpate and examine other areas, guided by infrared technology. It's easier than medical ultrasound. It's easier than medical ultrasound, faster and safer. This is true medical evaluation. This is infrared image in action. I'm not saying that it's better than ultrasound, depends of the case. Here is a functional exams. I don't want to compare, but I just want to say the difference. Here's another interesting situation. Here's a case of varicose veins. There's nothing visible in the human eye, but with infrared imaging, nothing is impossible. The turtle's veins with slow blood flow in venous stasis become clear. There are invisible varicose veins causing discomfort for the patient. This is a point of care evaluation. Infrared imaging is always point of care. Thermography not means point of care all the time. So infrared imaging is always point of care, and the future of medicine is point of care, fast, in front of patient, contact, talk with patient. That's why we are moving towards this approach. And the right term is infrared image, not just thermography, as Dr. Sedman started in 1933. Does the term thermography really capture what we do today? Why do you think so? Let's discuss about thermography. It only suggests measuring temperature. Medical infrared imaging offers a broader perspective covering the interpretation of infrared images related to blood flow, inflammation, and vasomotor sympathetic activity and other physiological dynamics. Let's see what the literature says about this. Let's see the science. We'll go to the National Library of Medicine on the National Center for Biotechnology Information website, the official research of US government, and search PubMed. Let's see what comes up and how many articles we find. Let's see what happens when we simply type the word thermography into PubMed. Let's search it. Could be more advanced, but for now, we'll just use the word thermography and check how many papers appear. Wow. In 73 years of research, from 1951 to today, there have been 11,137 papers published on thermography. Not the decline in publication during the 90s. Why this? Followed by recent recovery. Now, if we search for infrared imaging, there are 43,066 papers published since 1946, 3.9 times more than thermography, and the number has always increased with no decline. So why do we continue using the word thermography when the scientific literature clearly shows a growing preference for infrared image? Oh, but all right, Brioschi, you included all fields of knowledge. But what happens when we add the word medical to narrow it down to healthcare publications? The effect is even more striking. There are 6.2 times more publications on medical infrared imaging than on medical thermography. Let's open our eyes to this, everyone. Let's see. We can do the same now in looking this on the internet. Oh, sorry. This change in terminology can significantly impact how healthcare professionals perceive and utilize this tool. By adopting new terminology, we can help break down barriers and prejudices, leading to broader acceptance of the technology in various medical specialties. Here's the challenge. How do you see the future of medical infrared imaging? Should we evolve the name or preserve our roots? Let's discuss this after this presentation. Let's open the floor to quick questions. I encourage you to divide into two groups. One defending the term thermography, and the other supporting medical infrared image, no problem. If Hippocrates were watching our discussion, he'd probably be laughing. 2015 years ago, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, had already detected diseases by covering his patients with mud, like this picture, and where it dried faster, he identified inflammation or infection, and he wrote, in whatever part of the body excess of heat or cold is felt, disease is there to be discovered. Wow. He used both the concept of thermography, observing where the mud dried fast, and infrared image, simply watching the biological phenomenon. Not this picture, but watching this. And most important, both helped him treat patients. No minds, thermography, infrared imaging. Both helped him treat patients. Using a metal lancet, a knife, he drained abscess from war wounds on the times, but that's a story for another day. And you, what do you prefer? Uh, Before to finish, I like to remember, join us on October 19th for the American Academy of Thermology Medical Webinar, the latest advancements in infrared imaging, featuring 6 renowned medical experts. Some of them are here with us today. New research insights and a live question and answers. This is an event you won't want to miss. Register today to join our $49 early bird special, or if you are an active member or you've become a member, is for free. And share this with your colleagues. We look forward to see you there. Thanks so much, and it's open to discussion. Okay. and now, Dr. Holland, thermography or infrared? I have here Brett. Thank you, Brett, to be here. My friend Ronald Higo, Pamela, José Coutinho is a pain specialist is with us. Elizabeth Vilela is a acupuncturist and teacher. And Sidalia Awad, she presented herself before. She's a specialist in clinical and anesthesiologist in pain, neuromodulation. I'm seeing here my friend Álvaro Cabral. He's a acupuncturist from Brazil. And I don't know, there are many other people here, Gilson, everybody's welcome. So I would like to listen your opinion. It's not, I'm not imposing that everybody must use infrared image or thermography. We are here to want to listen what you think about that, especially for the ones that are doing for a long time, using this technology. Are you listening to me, Brett?
Yes.
Oh, man, it's very good that you're here. I'm very glad.
Yes. It's 6 a.m. here on the West Coast, so yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. I would like to listen you because you won. I believe you defend the term infrared image. Is it true?
Oh, that's well. Yeah, look, I mean, you know what side I'm going to come down on. Without mentioning names, okay. There is a group in the United States in the 70s that started to do thermography, and the results weren't good. And they started imaging breasts when they really had, in my opinion, probably no business doing that because it wasn't in their purview. Like it'd be like almost like a neurosurgeon looking at your bunions, you know. I mean, why would you do that? And so since you can't really diagnose it and you can't treat it and you can't follow the patients, then that was a problem for me. And so, as you're aware, Marcos, my unit is modified military infrared, and that catches people's attention. President Bush, you know, that was classified, and we don't get the infrared technology the military has, but the military isn't using it because it doesn't work. Works really good. They have it aboard the THAL, the high energy laser and they use the infrared camera to track it. That'll bring down a plane or a missile. And so, yeah, so I'm on the side where we would say we want infrared imaging, and that's it's like it's just a different dynamic, and people pay attention to that, especially when you throw in the modified military aspect of it. So, and you know, I mean, our first 500 cases, which was done, 15 years ago, our false negative rate on breast cancer was 0.4%. And we picked up 5 cancers outside the breast, including 2 undiagnosed and asymptomatic lung cancers. And I'm not advocating, we start using infrared for, to ferret out occult lung tumors, but it works like a charm. I mean, it's by, when I first, my radiologist called me and got us into it, and I thought, oh my God, I've spent decades trying to earn a reputation in my community, and now I'm going to bring in witchcraft. And so I was very skeptical, but this thing really works, and it's like my right-hand man now. And you know, we do the genetics test, what gives me the risk, and then I can, what we can do in breast specifically, what the system cannot do is if we find a high-risk patient, which I do with the genetics test, because that'll tell me within 10 years when that cancer is going to manifest, probably. Okay. So 10 years before I start accelerated imaging, so I can image that patient depending upon many variables 2 or 3 times a year. And so the smallest cancer I found is 4 millimeters. So the big deal is, if you have that capability and you get breast cancers that are 4, 5, 6, 7 millimeters, virtually none of them. I mean, I've been doing this now for 40 years, and I can name 2 patients that have had 5 millimeter breast cancers that have metastasized to their nodes, but the rest of them, no. So that's, and then as you're aware, I used cryoablation to just kill the damn thing in 20 minutes, totally outside the system. And
Brett,
I just heard from, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
okay.
We are preparing a meeting, especially about breast, and I would like to invite you for our next Saturday to discuss about it. But the point here is, do you prefer that we call medical thermography or medical infrared image, in your opinion?
Oh, the
You're doing
infrared.
both.
Yeah, infrared.
Infrared. Thank you so much. And I'd like to listen Francisco Gonzalez. Please, Gonzalez, present yourself for everybody here and put your opinion. Thank you so much, Brett. We return to talk about breast in the next.
Yeah, my name is, Francisco is my first name, but I go by Javier Gonzalez. I'm a physicist by training, and my area of expertise is infrared imaging, not just medical imaging, but microbolometers and
You're from
detectors.
Mexico. You're.
I'm from Mexico. That's
where are you now?
I was a professor in San Luis Potosí, Mexico, but now I moved to the United States and I live in Florida, in Orlando, Florida.
Are you in Florida now? Okay.
Yes.
Great. But do you prefer thermography or infrared imaging?
Actually, I think they're 2 different things, because thermography is more like, for example, back in the day, like 20, 30 years ago, infrared cameras were very expensive. So not everybody had the money to buy an infrared camera. So they did thermographies measuring temperature, not specifically with infrared radiation. So there used to be, for example, liquid crystal films, which is contact thermography that you put in the skin, and you can see the thermal pattern. So that's thermography also. What we do is infrared thermography because we use infrared radiation. But thermography is like a bigger thing. It's measuring temperature, not specifically with infrared cameras. What we do and what you do and probably everybody here is infrared medical imaging because we're using infrared radiation to measure temperature. But I don't know if you guys have seen those liquid crystal films to measure temperature.
Contact.
I have a picture here. If I can share my screen,
Yes,
maybe
you can share. It's important that what Gonzalez is saying, that thermography not means infrared. You can, for example, all the waves, wavelength. For example, X-ray. X-ray, you can burn yourself with X-ray. So X-ray brings heat also. So it's possible to do a thermography based on X-ray or any kind of wave. So sound also is possible. And so any electromagnetic wave can produce heat.
So for example, this is thermography, but it's not infrared imaging because we're not using an infrared camera. So I guess it was like a legacy term, thermography, that went in infrared imaging. But what we are doing is infrared medical imaging. And in my opinion, I prefer infrared medical imaging. Yeah.
Okay. There's another point here that the name of our society will not change because it's thermology. So we are professional, health professional, or interested on health, also veterinary, human beings and live beings. But we want to study the thermology, the biology of thermology, how the body could be studied in the point of view of thermology, measuring temperatures or seeing infrared. But the main characteristic of our society is many of us are interested to see the images by infrared image. But we are open for any kind of technology. We don't have any opposite guys for contact. Oh, contact is no problem. There are many papers, good papers about this. This is science. So we must to separate good things and the new things, old things. It's all is important to construct the concept. Ronald, do you like to expose something for us? Thank you, Francisco. 2-0 for infrared image until now. No problem. But I would like to see someone defend thermography here. But go ahead, Ronald. No.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've thought for years, I mean, thermography is a graph of temperature graph, thermography. I mean, that's the literal translation. And we are doing that, but that's not what we're about. I mean, we're about gathering physiological temperature data that has meaning to it. So we're not just graphing temperature, we're actually, imaging, infrared radiation. And that's to me is the difference. And it's especially important to me because my patients have such a varied range of temperatures because I'm a veterinarian and there's all kinds of different hair coats and we have scales and feathers and everything else to deal with. And that to me, thermography is just not a descriptive term. The same thing happened with laser therapy. It's always called laser therapy. And then about 8 years ago, the medical society decided to change it to photobiomodulation, meaning basically a change of the cells, moderation of the cells, respiration rate. And that was much more descriptive. And that's what I think we have to do, follow the same pathway. That's it.
Yeah, no, it's very good. So do you prefer veterinary infrared imaging?
Yep.
Okay, no problem. Do you understand you can use both? but we just must to understand a little more what the means or the little difference between. I also prefer, but most of times I see myself saying thermography in many situations and also in publication as I showed to you, but I'm trying to to educate myself and seeing like this on these ways. But it's not wrong to say thermography, okay? Just to understand. Anybody else want to discuss about it? Irma, how are you? Don't be shy, please. Let's see, Irma. Would you like to try to talk a little? I don't know what time is now for her, but maybe lunchtime, maybe, don't know. But Sidalia?
Hello. Yes, I really prefer the infrared imaging. And I see thermology as a science. I see thermography as a measurement of temperature and way we can do this. And infrared imaging for me looks more like the body's language, the way the body talks to us. We have this camera and we can capture this infrared radiation and we can understand what is happening there. So it's like if the body is talking to me, he's showing me through this technology what's happening, what's inflamed, where there is pain, where there is a neuropathy, where there are musculoskeletal problem. So it's the way I talk to the body talks to me, and I can understand what's happening and to have a more precisely decision about my diagnostic and prepare my treatment. Yeah? So I really appreciate this name, and I think that's more appropriate, the infrared imaging.
The other point I'd like to explain is I showed that Professor Uematsu bring us the importance to measurement, to have a temperature table of reference from what is normal, what's abnormal, and he brings many contribution on this. And after the first publication of him, most of doctors started to use temperature as the reference to say it's normal, abnormal. I remember when I started 24 years ago, and during the conference, international conference, I see many doctors discussing only the values. Oh, it's not 1 degree, so it's not important. So, and when I began, I remember that I saw many cases where I find difference on the distribution of temperature, for example, in a joint, but the difference was so little. Was 0.3, 0.2, or 0.4. Is so little difference. And on that time, most of them told me, no, don't worry if this is not diagnosed, is not is like artifact. And I didn't believe on that time because no, but the patient has pain on here. Patient is, here's the problem. I have, for example, X-ray or ultrasound showing that there's some inflammatory problem there in an area of 0.3, 0.2 degrees. And on that time, they didn't understand, or they were so close to measurements, thermography concept, and they were not seeing the infrared image concept, that it's qualitative, the distribution. So the distribution of the temperature on that elbow or wrist was totally different from the normal. And the problem, well, but measure is we don't need to measure. No, you need to measure, but you need to measure it by the right way. Because when you do the difference between right and left side based on averages. The average from the right and the left is 0.3 point. It's not means that you're using the best way to show the difference. It not means that you're using a real way to express with numbers that something is different from the others. So I try to explain this on our next meetings. Other ways to identify this instead of using only subtraction of average. So it's very base, sure. If you have 1 degree difference, okay, no problem. But the problem is that most of the time we have pain problems with low difference. And how can I say that this difference is not only by the image, qualitative, but quantitatively is possible. So there are many statistical ways to show this, the distribution of temperature, so wait for the next meeting. Irma, can you talk now? Is okay for you?
Irma just wrote in the chat. She doesn't have a microphone. I think it's a problem.
No, she talked.
And yeah, she said about using the word thermography or medical thermoimaging. In Dutch hospitals, we have echography, in English, diagnostic ultrasound. We have scintigraphy, in English, bone scan. And what's better for the Netherlands? Also using the word thermography. So I think she asked what should be good for them. I think maybe it's thermography. Okay, Julie is saying thermography would be my preference.
Okay, no problem, Julie, Irma, no problem. And I understand there's a cultural aspect that we must respect. I understand that when you translate some word to the other culture, there is not only a literary translation, because you brings many other aspects join with the word. So there's a history, a past, or a concept. So I respect the opinion of to maintain thermography on Netherlands. So no problem. Just this is why we're open the discussion. And but it's also good to know why, not just because I like, but why? Why not? So this is the point. Why not? No, try to justify this, not only stay on the preference, and especially see the literature. See the literature I showed you. So there are many, 4 times, 6 times, much more publication, scientific publication using infrared imaging than thermography. So we must to look at this tendency. It's not tendency, the real fact that many scientists are using actually. Okay, did you like the presentation of today? We don't want to spend so much time here. We do ours in 1 hour every Saturday. This is open for everyone. So no minds if a member, not member. It's for free, this presentation. I would like to invite more people, more friends, more especially health professionals interested to learn about infrared to discuss with us. No mind if he has something like guys, so we want to listen to the people that don't like or have something like guys. Let's discuss here, so no problem. We're not personally discussion, it's scientific discussion. And I hope that you join with us on the next Saturday in the same times, same link. And I thank you so much to stay with us. And I very excited that we change and increase the acknowledgement with infrared inside American Academy of Thermology, but outside too, for all society. So most of you must understand that you are a voice of this technology in the place where you live now. Don't forget our official meeting in October 19. It's for free for active members. If you're not active members, contact with the website of American Academy of Thermology. Or if you don't want to be, just to take part, is just $49 for that meeting. Okay, thanks so much. I stay here more 5 minutes if you want to have any questions. But for the webinar for today, we finish now. Okay.
Okay, Professor.
Okay.
Julie is asking
Hi.
on the chat that we can discuss about the cameras.
Yes, you can send your suggestion
Yes.
of topics for the next webinars. No problem, we can discuss. And most of the time, I put something controversial or for debate, not my opinion if it's good or not good. And every time I'm open to listen everybody here. Okay.
Also, she
I
asked
don't
if
have any conflict of interest.
we can.
You must understand that these webinars, we don't have a sponsorship, so not yet, but why not? But we don't have no sponsorship. There's no conflict of interest on this. It's specifically scientific.
Okay. And Julie also asked if we can do the meeting 1 hour later because of the time of the
Okay, we must.
PSAT.
We must understand that our official
It's this time.
our official schedule and time is in the US. So I understand that there are people from other countries, but if you must to know more about American Academy of Thermology, you must to follow our schedule, and we try to adapt this, but it's possible, but let's see. Okay, send your topics, and I think it's much more important for the next meeting. Okay?
Hey, Marcos?
Thank you, Brett. Say?
Yeah, I just, it would be really neat next time, just because there's not 200 people here, if everybody just took a couple seconds and told us where they're from, because it,
Okay.
like we have from the Netherlands.
Great.
I mean, I really like to know who's.
Yes, please.
So next time, try and do that.
I believe everybody could put on the chat where you're from, or state, or city, or the country. I believe it's more easy than everybody saying here, but
Julie is from Las Vegas. Who else? I'm from Brazil. I'm Dr. Cidália from Brazil.
Coutinho. You can say, no. Reno.
Okay. Coutinho, you are without microphone. I can't hear you.
I believe
You are
he's in the US. No.
Francisco Gonzalez said that he's from Mexico, but he's living in Florida.
Fernando.
Elizabeth.
Anyone want to comment something or want to give an idea for the next meeting? No problem. You can send you can reply the email from Stephanie if you receive an email invitation, or for the person you receive. So if you receive an email from this meeting, you can reply for the same person about what you want to suggest. Thank you, Julie, to stay here with us.
She's asking the email address, and Dr. Elizabeth Vilela is from São Paulo, Brazil. Okay, Ronald is from Ohio. Where there? And that is
Okay. I need to go to take my daughter. And thanks so much for everybody, and see you the next Saturday. Good weekend for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for all.